Well, I don't have the answer to every question now, so quickly after the match, but obviously we're not tough enough to win these matches at the moment away. It's a bit the same story like in Leeds. In Leeds we thought the problem was that we did not score in the first 20-25 minutes, and then they pushed us off balance in 2 minutes with 2 goals, and we could not find any answers. Also in Leeds we had answers in the first 15 minutes of the second half. Today we scored, so obviously everything was okay, but one set piece again, one sloppy defending again, and we're off balance, and today we did not react to it. We were lucky not to concede a third goal in the beginning of the second half. We were not tough enough as a team to react or to push it over the line for us. That's how I see it.
Nick.
Thomas, do you need a focal point, or do you think the answer is still within?
No, this is a totally wrong question to ask today. A vocal point for attack is defending these goals has nothing to do with attack. We scored, we had chances, was enough. We can have a clean sheet. We can stay on a 1-1. Everything was okay. We're not tough enough as a team. It's not a question of striker, no striker, vocal point or whatever. It's the wrong question for me at the moment.
But Sterling is obviously still, working really hard. He scored.
Well, but he's a team player, and as a team we're not strong enough at the moment. Point. It's the wrong question.
Jamie.
Thomas, you spoke after the Spurs game about how enthused you were by that performance,
Yeah.
about working with the current squad. In the performances since, has that bubble burst a bit? Do you now think that in the next 48 hours you need to get players again?
You know what it reminded me of about Juventus last season? We played a fantastic match at Stamford Bridge against Juventus last season, and after that we had Chile off for 8 months and N'Golo Kante for 8 weeks or for 3 months. And it was the same against Tottenham. We had a fantastic performance. After that, our key player says goodbye for 6 weeks minimum. So with N'Golo, and then it's red cards, and then it's again a red card for Connor, and then Ruben is off injured, and Mateo Kovacic is injured since 8 weeks. He makes a pre-season injury. This is what it reminds me. It's Reece James is off for the game today of illness. It's key player after key player, which is it is a fact. And with our demands and the ambition that we have, it's simply like that. But if they, even more important, if these key players are missing, you need to show different mentality. You need to show different mentality. It's not enough at the moment to win in Leeds and Southampton. There's no shame in it. We are humble enough to accept that we can lose football matches. Also, we hate it, but it's too easy. It's too easy to push us off the track. It's too easy to win challenges. It's too easy to bully us.
So once you've got all those key players back,
do we know if we have it? I mean, I know what squad the other teams have. I know what the schedule is. And yesterday we had 16 players in training. So I cannot dream about what will happen if we have everybody back. I just have what we have on the training pitch. And this is not a lot at the moment.
Neil.
You call it sloppy defending. On the first goal,
Yeah.
all 11 were back at the corner,
Yeah.
and yet he had all the space in the world.
Yeah.
And on the second goal, the ball was lost in their half,
Yeah.
and Southampton just went right through the centre.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
So what can stop that?
Soft defending. What stops that? Pure mentality. Stop it by pure mentality. Stop it with defending mentality. There is no superiority for the opponent. There is no need to give shots away. There is no need. Just toughen up and as a team and show different mentality. This is today my assessment. I don't like to talk about it normally because it is like a bit, you cannot prove it with a data and with whatever, with a body position or like with a tactical position in the field, but it's like this. It's like this. You described it. Both goals are cheap goals, soft goals, and should not happen if you expect to win a Premier League match in the evening in a away stadium. You need to be tougher than that.
Okay, last two, Tom, and then let's finish.
Are you worried about the games coming up with these players still?
No, I'm not worried about the games coming up. I'm worried about the amount of games at the moment, because I know what we're dealing with. And worried is I don't fear any opponent. I know what we are capable of, but this up and down and this phase that we showed today and in Leeds is for sure not the phase with which we can expect to get a lot of points away from home.
Okay, last question, Francis.
It's been an unbelievably turbulent 6 months. I know you don't want to find excuses, but is there still an element which you would thought was a bit unsettled by?
Yeah, maybe, but you know, the line is so thin between excuses and explanations. So I better don't go down this road because I don't want to give any chance for anybody, myself, staff, players, any room for excuses. We need to find solutions. I think what will help is like the closing of the transfer window will help. Then we will know who has a full commitment, who needs to commit, what do we demand, what role does everybody need to play and need to fulfill, and then everybody, including myself, needs to step up to a new level of performance, because this is okay. These are okay performances. It's not a disaster, but it's okay, and okay can never be enough for us. Never.
Okay, leave it there. Thank you, everybody.
Well, I don't have the answer to every question now, so quickly after the match, but obviously we're not tough enough to win these matches at the moment away. It's a bit the same story like in Leeds. In Leeds we thought the problem was that we did not score in the first 20-25 minutes, and then they pushed us off balance in 2 minutes with 2 goals, and we could not find any answers. Although in Leeds we had answers in the first 15 minutes of the second half. Today we scored, so obviously everything was okay, but one set piece again, one sloppy defending again, and we're off balance, and today we did not react to it. We were lucky not to concede a third goal in the beginning of the second half. We were not tough enough as a team to react or to push it over the line for us.
Hi Thomas, just a word about Kai Havertz. He played well on Monday night. Where do you think his best position is, and how much potential do you see there?
I think that we are pretty, from my opinion right now and today, this is pretty much maybe his best position, between a 9 and a 10, and have the freedom to drop and to move fluid between the 2 positions and to shift positions between a 10 and 9. I feel him very confident in high positions. I like to have him in high positions. I don't want to have him behind the ball. I want to have him high up the pitch. And he feels comfortable in the back of opponents. He feels comfortable in between the lines, in narrow pockets in between the lines. So this is pretty much it. If it's like a 9 when he starts all his actions from the very center of the pitch, or if it's maybe a half position, like between a 10 and 9, and between a winger and a 10 and a 9. This is pretty much the space where he can feel comfortable and where he can be decisive for us.
I think, how do you see Havertz? Do you see him as a 9, a half 9, or a no 9?
I'm still not sure.
Yeah.
I see a kind of a bit of Dennis Bergkamp, Robin van Persie, Berbatov kind of player.
Yeah.
He can play in the half position, I think, because he has good runs, but he is also feels free from the 9. And creates overloads to one side, and he arrives in the
He's prepared to go out here, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
And here.
Yes.
And then arrive in the box.
Not always an advantage, but he has a good timing for it.
I think, would we say that's how he played for Leverkusen? Right. When I saw him play there, I thought he played right up the top.
Position, yeah.
He played
many
more
games
at the top when he was scoring them goals.
And I was like, when I watched him in Leverkusen, did not know that I once will coach him, but. When I was in Paris, and we watched, of course, Leverkusen because they had an interesting squad, and especially also for him, and they made him play as a 9. Yeah. Was very interesting, and was like I said. I remember when I watched I think cup final or something against Bayern with my staff, and said like this could be a good role for him.
Yeah, good position.
Let's see.
He's come on fire now. He's obviously, for whatever reasons, we won't go down that road, but here he is there again. He's an assister, and now he's beginning to finish. I mean, there's Mount, who I think has been sensational for you as well. But for me, he looks like he's almost like a target man. You can play him as a little bit of a target, but he's actually...
But like you see, he's used to play from the half field, which makes him very fluid.
Well, have you seen one of the tweets that Chelsea have put out, talking about how many passes they made last night?
Well, the pass masters,
I didn't know having doing loads of passes meant you scored lots of goals. Obviously, it doesn't. It's a weird stat to put out. Is that what they wanted? Is that the game plan? Is that they get a manager on who can keep the ball and make loads of passes that actually don't... They're not going forward. And I think that's where a lot of people will talk about Sarri Ball, about with Jorginho in there and the sort of football you played. His first pass yesterday, as soon as they kicked off, was a backward pass to the right full-back. And that carried on most of the game. Now, he's going to be ruthless. I think we've seen that, because when you look at Chelsea, their best players this season, you would say Zuma's been one of their best players. You would say Mount's been one of their best players. You would say James has been up there, one of their best. Pulisic, when he's been fit, has been impressive. So you would say they've probably been their best players. All of them yesterday on the bench. All of them. Which was a strange timing. And then even with Tammy, I know it was against lower league opposition, but scored a hat-trick. You would think as a striker, if you start scoring goals and you score a hat-trick, it's a good time to play the next game. And then he made that change as well, so that was strange.
Well, I think that all those, including Vernon, who weren't impressed that Mason Mount was out of the team, or out of the starting lineup, were proved right, because he came on and you could easily argue he had more impact in those few minutes he was on the pitch than anybody else. You could make a case for him. I actually thought they were going to give him man of the match. It just...
Well, it would have been good if they did.
Oh, they should have.
Well, Havertz had a stinker.
Shocker, yeah.
Absolute stinker. It's almost like he doesn't know where to go. It's almost like he's lost in the position he's in. So they need to find out exactly where his best position is and put him there and see if that works. That'd be an idea, because he's obviously someone who can't just float around in playing different position. Stick him where he wants to be and give him a run, and if he ain't good enough then... get rid.
Well, but what did he learn from that? And I'm not sure there is anything he learned from that game last night, other than, Mason Mount's actually probably better than I thought he was.
Well, they can keep the ball. I think...
but Wolves let him have the ball sat deep. Anybody can keep the ball against
that's
a team
what I'm trying
like
to say to you. But he knows now he's got players that can keep the ball and they can pass it. There's no problem there. I think the problem they've had this year is the creativity and defending from set pieces. Now, did they look better defensively? You would say, yeah, they looked all right defensively. Do the players need to wake up and realise he's not going to... he's not going to just sit there and do nothing. He's going to make things happen. I mean, even as far as Chilwell, when he took Chilwell off and subbed him for Pulisic, I mean, it shocked Chilwell, didn't it? He went, what, me? For him? So he's going to make decisions that probably the players might question. But if he gets the results, nobody's going to be bothered.
Hi, Thomas. Thanks for your time. You said great news that N'Golo Kante's fit. You spoke briefly last night about how excited you are to work with him. Where do you see his best position? Because obviously he's played in loads of different roles in midfield, and you seem to fulfil them all well. But where do you think you best?
I think he's the strongest on the 6-6 in the center, in the heart of the game. Gives him a little bit more freedom than he plays a 6, what he can do. But I like he's for me not his strength is not to be the to care. Turn it around. For me he's a 6 because we can use his energy and we can use his volume in his game, his ability to recuperate and recover balls everywhere on the pitch. For me, he's a guy who is a big helper for everybody, with a big potential, with a mentality of a helper, of a water carrier, but at the same time a world-class player who played a crucial role in the World Cup win for France, and that's why it's super important to have him. And for me, the 6 is is the best role for him, because it gives him a bit more freedom than he plays the single six, which demands a bit more discipline on the position and maybe cuts his wing a little bit, but I'm sure he could also play there.
In terms of that wide or false nine, as we talked about, where do you think you're going to be playing most at Chelsea? Where would you like to play most?
As you know, like, my position is mainly as a winger.
I think he should play in the last line, or in between the defensive lines, to drive towards the last line or run through the last line, and in this free role as a number 9 and dropping into half spaces.
As you know, like, my position is mainly as a winger. Then going to City, living the dream, and then now coming back to London as I know exactly what I want from my life and football. So it's it's such a lot of quality that there are many spaces to use for him. He can play, of course, from the wing. He comes from the wing and is used to play there. He was very dangerous and had an offside goal and a big chance now from the number 9 position, which was a bit a more free role for him to play, and I liked it a lot. And but you know, some of the times I enjoy floating about and getting on the ball, but I always judge myself on how effective I am on the game, so it depends where I'm going to be most effective. At the moment, last game against Everton, played from the false 9 position, and again, I'll be most happy where I can be effective and, you know, help my team.
When you get given a collection of stars, Arsene, do you pick a team or pick a way of playing and pick a system, so what you have, or do you make them play the way you want them to play?
It depends. If you arrive and you have already the players there.
Do you shoehorn players into positions where they're not comfortable?
I think the first quality for managers is to put the players in a position where he's comfortable, where he can meet his needs, you know, and express his talent. I think the first quality for managers is to put the players in a position where he's comfortable, where he can meet his needs, you know, and express his talent. And that's why a manager normally is a guy who observes well and detects the strong points of the players.
Hi Thomas, just a word about Kai Havertz, who played well on.
Thomas, good evening. I just wonder if you could give us your summation of that performance, please. It looked quite disjointed from here. You look very frustrated, and you seem actually quite angry.
Of course, I'm angry on myself. I'm angry on our performance. This is a huge underperformance from all of us. It's not precise enough. It's not clinical enough. It's not aggressive enough on the ball. It's not determined enough. It's not enough individually. It's not enough as a team. And that's why we lose this game today.
Hi, Thomas. In terms of the attacking play, etc., and just the way the team is gelling, it seems a real lack of confidence. Is this stemming back from pre-season? Pre-season didn't go perfectly for you, and also, how many players would you say are playing at the top of their game right now?
Sorry, how many players?
How many players are playing at the top of their game right now, would you say?
Not a lot at the moment. Not a lot at the moment. It's on me to find solution and to find the reason why, but it's obviously that we underperform individually. I don't really know where this performance today comes from. For me, it's a lack of determination, even a lack of determination, hunger, a lack of intensity, repetitive intensity, a lack of determination to win duels, and to actually do the things on the highest level, on the toughest level. And you cannot expect to win games, and not in Premier League and not in Champions League. It's the 2 toughest competitions then you can play in. And we are clearly not where we want to be.
Hi Thomas. You said after the Southampton game you were quite critical of the team, that they needed to toughen up. Tonight you seem you're blaming yourself a bit more. I just wondered what more you felt.
It's not about blaming. It's not about blaming. I know that you play this game, and after Southampton you tell them I'm blaming. So I'm not blaming. I'm describing. I'm trying to answer your questions. I'm trying to describe. You ask me about my feelings. I'm not blaming. I'm not blaming nobody. It's just a reality of today's game. I'm always part of it. I'm part of it when we win. I'm part of it when we lose. This never changes.
And I wondered as well where this night I think this was your 100th game in charge of Chelsea, and I wondered where this night kind of ranked, really.
I don't have a ranking for these things. I don't have a ranking for these things. I just know that I need time to digest it and find solutions.
Yeah. Did the surprise you in any way?
No, I did not. We expected what we got, and I think we got what we got. I think it's a bit the story of the last games, that we start okay, 15-20 minutes. We lack determination, precision. Maybe even we lack the smell of blood. I think at halftime we had the same amount of shots than Dinamo. I cannot understand this, because we had an amount of deliveries and we had an amount of spaces and an amount of ball wins that should by far enough to have far more attempts on target, but we did not. We conceded a goal with 2 players in a counter-attack. Never happened before. I don't understand why it happened today. It's clearly my job to analyze it, so this is my analyzing from the sideline, and it will continue, because of course we need to be much better. It's like you said, we are not finished. We are not happy with our results. We are not happy with the way we play in general, but I thought we are on a good way. I thought we have. I'm a bit surprised by this performance today.
You've been very honest about what went wrong on the pitch, but your very first words were you were angry with yourself. I just wonder, why are you angry with yourself?
Because I didn't see it coming. So obviously I was in the wrong movie. I mean, I did not see that coming. I thought that the last game helped us. I thought we showed a reaction in a very difficult moment against West Ham. Showed a reaction, got a result. We're lucky in the moments where you maybe need a bit of luck in the situation we were in, and had good training sessions. I thought the team is prepared. I thought we know what this is all about. I didn't see it coming. That's why I'm angry on myself.
Thomas, it's obviously a very difficult balance. You've been quite critical of the players after some games, but you've got to keep them with you. I mean, how do you kind of strike that kind of the right note to do it?
That you say, like, I was so super critical. I said we need to toughen up in set pieces and in challenges. This is, for me, not super critical. I mean, you ask me a question, I give you an answer, then it depends a little bit what you make of it. I don't think that you lose a player. If you lose with Chelsea and Southampton the way we lost, with a set piece and with a goal against 7, 8, 9 players in defense, of course you need to toughen up. It's simply a reality. I don't see that this is a big issue. Like I said, I think that I use the word "we" a lot, and this word includes me. So I cannot see a point where I lose a team when I answer your questions.
Okay, we can do 2 more, and that's the end at the back.
Okay, I have 2 small questions. First, did you underestimate maybe Dinamo a little bit?
Me personally, not. If we did, we have a huge problem. Honestly, then we have a huge problem if we did.
Okay, and the second, how would you comment on atmosphere?
I think it would be a much better atmosphere if we had all tribunes full. So this is a bit of it is what it is. But of course we know that the crowd is emotional and the crowd is loud and they did their very best. But the atmosphere today was was no key in making us underperform. It was good atmosphere, but I think the disadvantage is huge for the home team in one stand completely closed. So it's actually an advantage for us, and we let it pass.
Hi Thomas, thank you. After the Wolves game, I believe it was last season, you cancelled the day off, you called everybody in and had the big meeting. Are we at that point again? Are you considering that it's time to get everybody in again for a big discussion at the training ground and a frank exchange?
There's no day off the next days, don't worry.
Maybe Thursday. Obviously you're flying back overnight. And
there's no day off in the planning, and there cannot be a day off at the moment.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Today's performance was
shocking.
Yeah, I mean,
come on. Listen, I know you work for Chelsea. I know they're your team. You don't want to pick your team out. Come on, mate. Stop. Don't sit on the fence. They're absolute disgrace.
We were dreadful.
The money you
tonight.
spent.
We were. Yeah, look. Today's performance, right? If this was Abramovic in charge now, the rhetoric would be he's going to lose his job, he's going to struggle, and that rhetoric will continue because it's Chelsea. But I don't know what the owners like, Bowley. We don't know how they're going to run the company, right? So as is. But forget that for the time being. Let's just talk about tonight's performance. Substandard, nowhere near good enough, nowhere near it, a mile away from it, all over the pitch. The goal we conceded, really dreadful, really dreadful. I mean, look, let's give them some credit. If you ever want to see a team play how to play a 5-4-1 when you go one up, they would. We could be here till now, and this time tomorrow, we're never going to score. Lack of creativity, lack of genuine belief, lack of genuine idea, know-how. It was dull. It was uninspiring. It was a really, really, really tough watch. Really tough watch. And it's hard to watch that group of players, that talented group of players, look like that they are underperforming. They're underperforming, and by some distance. That's not the Chelsea that I'm used to seeing. That's not that side. A lot of that side won the Champions League with that manager, right? And that's a team we should be beat. We should not be getting beat by them tonight.
I mean,
and
no disrespect to Dynamo's. I mean, you got beat by a team called Dynamo.
Good team, mate.
I used to play for a Sunday League team called Sutton Dynamos. You're getting beat by them. What's the matter with you?
Yeah,
You've had the biggest fall from grace ever.
Well, we haven't fallen yet. We're on our way down right now.
You are falling.
Well,
you're in free fall.
I mean, I've been here before too many times as a Chelsea fan.
There for 7 years, so you can imagine lots of wonderful memories. If I was going to pick any, I would say I had probably two real strong memories. One was the return match in Istanbul against Galatasaray in the Europa League. We played a really tough game. We had to defend a lot, suffer a lot in a really hostile environment. The supporters there in Istanbul are amazing, and we managed to go through to beat Galatasaray over 2 games. And you can imagine the response for the home team was really, really aggressive. Their supporters were very very volatile in there, and they were quite quick at letting the team Galatasaray know that they were disappointed. But eventually, then they started to clap. They started to clap us, and we ended up having a bit of a lap around the pitch there with the supporters clapping us, which I don't think is they were telling us that has not happened before. So that was a really goosebump moment. And then, of course, the celebrations in the changing room afterwards were special. And then the second real highlight from a football perspective was the home match against PAOK. We were 3-1 down from the first leg. We had to win 2-0, and that was to actually get into the Europa League. So it was the final qualification match, and yeah, it was just a special night. We ended up winning 2-0. The atmosphere and in the ground and the feeling of what we'd achieved was amazing. So yeah, luckily enough, my eldest was on the pitch afterwards and did a lap of honour. It was just a nice moment, and felt really proud that you can be part of that experience, help the club, certainly in the short and medium term. And just that probably those two are the main football memories. And then off the pitches, lots of friends and all that I special memories that I have. I would say that the tactical differences from Sweden to the UK. Well, we went from Allsvenskan to the Championship. So the Championship itself is such a tough league. The amount of games you play, you go from playing 30 in Allsvenskan to, I think, 46 in the Championship. So just the intensity of the competition is the real big difference. Tactically, the ball goes in the box, I think, a lot more in England. It's probably a bit more direct, a bit more physical. And in Sweden, because of also the nature of the 4G pitches, sometimes the game is a bit more tactical and technical. But I would say more so the physical element in the UK and the amount of games and the fact that the crowd is so much in the game means that's the big difference. I think it'd be fair to say that we didn't really know how long we'd be out there. I think we initially signed a 3-year contract. So we were working, especially as football is, you think, well, if we get to 3 years, bearing in mind the club had sort of changed manager every year for the previous 3 or 4 seasons. So we were thinking if we can get to the end of our contract, at least we'd have had an experience, at least something to put on the CV, and then you never know. And at the same time, we had high hopes that we could achieve something and we could do something special, because that was the whole point of going over there. It wasn't just to have a job. So it was a tricky situation to go over there and experience the negativity at first, but in the end, like I said, a wonderful experience. And then I suppose as you're there longer and longer, and you end up that Sweden becomes your home and Östersund becomes your home, then it was just planned to try to do your best and develop the club. And so there wasn't any then return date. I think then it changed a bit then once you're over and you can see the possibility of the club and fall in love with the place and the town. Then it was there was no plan. There was certainly no plan to get into Europa League or to do what we did. It just happened, and I think that was a nice thing. I suppose the key thing to think about is that you always have to adapt to the players and to the environment and the context that you're working in. And when I first went over to Sweden, the team was in the 4th tier, had just been relegated. So the real focus was about getting players to enjoy playing football, to not be worried so much about results, to try to feel part of something that we were trying to create. So it was a lot about enjoyment in those early stages. So a lot of the sessions were about that, focused on that, about not necessarily about necessarily a tactical focus. But that certainly grew as we went forward into our time in Sweden and started to understand, okay, what are our advantages? So then when you move into Swansea, the games program, as I said earlier, is so massive that the training time is less. You go from 30 matches to 46 matches. So again, you have to adapt to that. Back into the Premier League, where there's less games again, it's a bit more like it was in Sweden. So from a periodisation perspective, you have to make sure that you alter and adapt to the games. But in terms of style, I think we've just moved from, like I said, towards a more now sessions are designed towards either learning from what we've done, improving what we've done, and preparing the next game. I think slowly that's been the change over the years. We refer to the game in Istanbul. We were 2-0 up from the first game. So, we had an advantage, but going there with the crowd, with the hostility that is Galatasaray, we knew that we had to score. So we've beforehand had an idea about how we wanted to play. We wanted to try to play. We wanted to try to do what we did in the home game. We wanted to try to have the ball and create and play our game. At the same time, we needed to understand also that we were going to have to suffer in the game as well. So we had to have a defensive organisation that if we weren't able to play the game we wanted to play, then there was still a foundation there to work from. And it quickly transpired in the game that it was going to be a really tough game. They played really well. They pushed us back, and we had to defend. We had to defend low. We had to defend our box. And thankfully, we managed to do that. We scored a goal penalty from our captain and got through. And after the game, I spoke to him, and he was a typical possession player. He would say, very much focused with the ball, very much that's how he wanted to play football. Big fan of the Barcelona style, and he identified himself a lot with the ball and possession. And I spoke to him after that game and asked him about how he felt about the game, and he said it was his best game he's ever played. And I was like, well, we had 28% of the ball, I think, or maybe less than that, and that's not your type of game. And he was like, no, but I understood that we needed to suffer, we had to defend, and we had to go through, and that's why it was like the most satisfying thing for him. So that was nice that he'd gone through that change, I suppose, and understanding that football is, again, about balance. It's about attacking, defending, transitioning. It's about doing all the things, regardless of whether you've got one aspect that you favour or one aspect that you're going to try to do more of. Still, you have to respect the game enough to know that you need to be good in all those areas. And that's the thing I think that me and him learned together collectively over the time, that it was important to have that balance. You have to go onto the pitch believing that you can win. There's a possibility that you can win. I always say that, and we should always have a plan that helps us achieve that. But at the same time, that it's football, and the plan is just a bit of information gathered from the past. It doesn't guarantee how it's going to be in the future. You can't predict the match exactly. So you have to be humble enough to know that you might not be able to have as much ball as you'd like. You might not be able to create as many chances as you'd like, but you still need to be able to stay in the game, be hard to beat, be resilient, all those words that we can use. Because like I said, the word again, balance, you need that balance to be able to achieve anything in football. At the University of Hull, I was friends with Graham Jones. He was working with Roberto Martinez. So I was lucky enough to watch those guys work. And while they're at Swansea, I saw the start of the project that they had there in terms of the identity that they're trying to create and how they wanted to play football in the lower leagues, going about it a slightly different way. So I think that was a fascinating thing to see from a distance at a time where I was, I suppose, learning and wanted to gain as many influences as I could. So I think in the early days, Roberto and Graham were two that I got inspiration from, and then and I think the other one that springs to mind, certainly in that phase of my life, was Pep Guardiola at Barcelona. Just seeing the effect that he had on that team and on football, and obviously I followed his career since. For us, isn't necessarily have most possession. It's about trying to win the game. That's what we're trying to do, and then in order to do that, you probably have to have an idea about what you're doing when you're attacking, and then also what you're doing when you're defending, because in football you can't guarantee that you're going to be always attacking. You might want to do that, but it's impossible. So you have to have an understanding also of how you're defending and respect the opposition, respect football. That sometimes the games, you have to defend. Maybe you can't do what you want to do. You have to have a defensive structure and understand that that's as important. In fact, some would argue more important than the other stuff. But in football, if you haven't got that balance, then it's hard to achieve anything. So then the idea, regardless of who you play, doesn't necessarily change in terms of you need to be prepared in all the areas of the game. And then football is what it is. It's wonderful sport. You can't predict it so much, and you have to be able to adapt and take decisions when the game's going. The challenge for us as coaches is that we have to convince the players that their ideas are good for them, can help them improve, and ultimately can help their performance and get the results we want to get. That's the challenge. That's what we're all faced with, regardless of what the level is. And then I always think that for somebody to listen to you, they have to have a connection with you on a human level, on a personal level. They have to believe that you're there to help them, believe that your intentions are good, your motivations are sincere, and you're there to support them, and you want to do the right thing by them and the team. So that's always the foundation, I think, that can help. And then of course you need the specific information, the sport specific information that again they go, okay, this is helping me. I can get this. I can understand this. This is a reference that I can use to go out to the pitch and to make my decisions. So I think those are the things to consider. And then I always think that you've got to adapt to the players, because they're the ones playing the game. It's not they're not there to necessarily serve my interests or my ideas. We've got to come with a collective idea, collective reference that they all buy into, or we can all understand, and collectively we go forward. And within that, you have to look at the strengths and the attributes of the players that you have, because that's a good way for them to come with you. I would say the last couple of years since returning to the UK, it's been quite full on in terms of adapting to new clubs and new leagues and new home situations. That is probably an area that I've neglected my own development to a certain extent. At the same time, I would caveat that with the fact that I've been in these new situations and these new competitions and meeting new players, that's been a real learning and development experience for me. I think I've grown a lot and I've learned a lot over the last couple of years. But I think it's also important to step outside of your own bubble, if you like, and just to take that time. And when I have done that, I've tried to exercise, even though not as much as I would like. I've tried to read although not as much as I would like, and I've done a bit of meditation as well. Again, maybe not as much as I would like, but they're probably the three things that I try to do for my own development, for my own sanity, if you like, just to escape from the pressures of the job, and also just to provide that bit of time to think and reflect and to put things in perspective. You can often be in an unstable position because you're thinking about attacking, you're thinking about scoring. So in terms of how we think about that, it's firstly to try to have a good structure when you're building your attacks. There's a good structure in your possession, so that if the mistake does happen or the turnover happens, you're in a good position as a team to deal with that. So that's about positional play, I suppose. And then the next bit is the attitude and the thinking when the turnover happens. Are you thinking about the mistake? Are you thinking about what you maybe should have done? Or are you thinking about the fact that the game's turned over, it's now in a new situation and another action needs to happen, and you're thinking about that? So there's an important aspect to consider there. And then the rest is about, okay, how quickly do you get back into your defensive structure based on the principles that you have as a team? I suppose the most difficult part of the game is to attack, and as you get better, teams maybe defend with more numbers, and they defend with you have to attack less space, and you're having to defend big spaces. So that's a really challenging part of the game, and I think that's why that thinking, that understanding that is the challenge, and you have to respond in a good way when that mistake happens is vital to get the initial reaction. Well, firstly, I'll come in, consult with my assistant coaches, ask them what they've seen, ask them for their thoughts and their observations. Take a moment to reflect on those, and then to maybe discuss. Okay, what's the plan? What's the initial messages at half time to start to put that plan in place if there needs to be something changed, or whether we just continue with what we're doing. And then once we've got that formulated amongst ourselves, I'll generally address the group, keep it quite brief, try to make 2 or 3 points. At the same time, my assistants and analysts will have maybe picked out some clips or footage from the game that reinforces those points. Make the points, whether it's a tactical point or sometimes an emotional point, depending on what's required. And then, like I said, the guys will go around, check the understanding, check the at an individual level, everybody's okay. Any queries, they can do that then. And I think at half time, and it's a time where you can use emotion, because you can. There's still another half to play. There's still something you can do. You might have to change the dynamic, the attitude, the thinking. So it's a really important tool. I suppose just by asking the question, there's a chance that you can be used the wrong way, and you can be too emotional and not thinking clearly, and the message gets diluted in an angry state or an emotional state. So it's about controlling that. I think that's where you need that time just to reflect, just to try and get some objectivity and some perspective in terms of what's happened, and then always have the tool, if you like, up your sleeve, that if you need to affect things and speak in an emotional way, because that's how the game is sometimes, then you can do that in a way. It's always should be to try to help the team and improve the team and help us win. It shouldn't be just to serve your own purpose to get rid of some. We live in a world sometimes where you know, as the coach and the leader, you're meant to show this clarity and strength, and you got all the answers and you know everything type of stuff, and everything's so clear for you. But the reality of it is we're human beings as well, and there's certainly from my perspective self-doubt often, because you don't know how things are going to go, and that leaves you with a sense of vulnerability, I suppose, and I think that's natural and normal. But the key thing is, as long as your motivation is good, as long as your intentions are good, you're there to help the players, you want to do your best, you're trying to help the situation, then whatever happens, even if you fail, there are learning, there's things that you can use, that you can develop from. And I think that's always how I've tried to think about things whenever I have those moments. It's about what's my perspective of this situation, remind myself of that, remind myself of my intention, remind myself of my motivations, and that I'm doing my best, and then make sure I take that next step forward and try to learn from whatever experience happens, whatever situation happens, try to become a better coach, a better person. And then the self-doubt, okay, it might still be there, but you can use it. It's a way also that it keeps you in check. It keeps you not thinking that you've got all the answers, not thinking that you know everything. This game is a brilliant game for that, in terms of just when you think you've got things sussed out, it can come and kick you in the backside. So no, I think it's something that I have often, and I think it's quite a common, normal human trait as well.
Dynamo.